How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball and welcome back to another combined 11 between mine and Sims. This time, team of the season so far. We are into the second international break and me and Sim have both picked our teams of the season so far. And you know how it goes by now. We're going to have a bit of a debate to see which player goes into each specific position. We've gone to 4-3-3 formation. And who have you picked in goal?
In goal, I have gone for Alisson of Liverpool.
Alisson.
I know Vicario's had a great start to the season, and obviously as a Spurs fan, I really appreciate how he's adapted to the Premier League. I just think Alisson has been pulling off some unbelievable saves in the first part of the season, and I think it's a big reason why Liverpool have got a lot of the wins they have. So I've gone for Alisson.
Yeah, I have gone for Vicario. Spurs is number one. I think he's taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. He's got the highest save percentage in the Premier League so far, and on top of that, I felt like as well he's also made big saves that have kept Spurs in games, and probably a big reason why Spurs are currently top of the league. I did have Alisson down as a special mention, so it was between the two in my opinion, but I just think Vicario has just been that little bit better, and the stats back that up I think as well.
Yeah, I think the stats, I think Alisson was actually ahead up until this weekend. Obviously, he didn't have a great game. Well, he had an okay game, but he made a bit of a hash of Brighton's opening goal, so maybe that affected the stats. But
so 1-0. Surely Vicario gets in?
Maybe. Vicario hasn't really made any errors, really, so you've got to give him credit. I just think the saves that Alisson has made so far this season, maybe it's a bit of the eye test, has been a bit more impressive than what Vicario has shown. Vicario has obviously made big saves and good saves at that. I just think Alisson, the saves he made have been ridiculous, and I think he's been making them on a week-to-week basis, whereas I think Vicario has been great, don't get me wrong, but I think it's only been on a couple games where he's made like really impressive saves where he's needed to anyway. So that's why I've just gone for Alisson. Yeah,
I feel like the saves he's made in the Arsenal game were big. Manchester United, obviously, he made a couple of really good saves in that game. Liverpool, I believe he made. I can't remember the Liverpool game off the top of my head.
He's made good saves, but not on the saves Alisson, not on the level Alisson's made. Apart from maybe the Burnley one, which was incredible.
Burnley as well.
The Burnley save was great, but apart from that, like Alisson, I'm literally watching him do worldy saves week in, week out. Maybe that goes to say more about the defense, but
it's hard. It's just hard to kind of split the difference between these two, because I think both of them, you can probably make good arguments for both, and probably if you put either or, you're not going to bat an eyelid. Which one goes in there? So how are we going to split the difference on this one?
I'm happy to go Vicario.
All right, we'll go for Vicario. So Vicario goes in as goalkeeper. Next up is the right back. I have picked Kieran Trippier.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, he's been head and shoulders. I think he did have a hard start to the season, but since he's come into the season, I mean, what an unbelievable impact he's made. 3.4 key passes per game, 6 big chances created. I think, 5 assists already this season as well.
He's in great form.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, carrying on his form from last season. Last season, it was going to be interesting to see whether he could keep up what an amazing season he had. But it seems as though, it had a bit of a slow start, but I think the recent form has gone on to show that he's really back in the formula of last season, and he's just unreal when he gets to that the right wing spot, and he's asked to deliver the ball. The assist he got for Isaac on the volley on the weekend was incredible.
Yeah,
I think last few weeks he's been pretty spot on defensively as well. The only other one competing with him was probably maybe Pedro Porro from Spurs. A great season for him as well so far. Defensively he's been great. I just think on the attacking output wise, Trippier probably ahead at the moment, and I think defensively he's also been pretty sound, so that's one for him.
All right, so that's an easy choice at right back. Kieran Trippier goes in there. Right centre back, who have you gone for?
Joachim Andersen.
He was on my special mentions, but I actually sided with Saliba on this one.
Saliba.
Yeah, I think I'm watching Saliba. I know they've kind of conceded quite a few at home this season, but they haven't conceded any goals away from home. 6 goals conceded in the Premier League, which is the lowest out of everyone in the Premier League so far. And I saw him in the game against Spurs, in the big game against Man City. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in both of those games. We found it really hard to deal with Saliba, to be honest, albeit the goal that we did score when Sonny got in between Saliba, Rice and Gabriel. You would have thought Saliba might have done a bit better there, but I just think all in all, all, he's been unbelievable this season.
I just think playing for a worse team like Crystal Palace is a lot harder to kind of have those kind of performances. And Anderson has been super consistent. Palace actually joint top for clean sheets at the moment with 4 clean sheets so far in the Premier League. Scored an excellent goal at Old Trafford to win the game against Man United. 2 goals
this season, hasn't he?
I think
he scored on the first day. I think
he scored against Brentford on the first day as well. So he's finding a goal threat, and his passing ability is second to none. I think he's shown that week in, week out. And I just think playing for Palace, I think he started the season extremely well, and a tough start for Palace because they've lost Zaha, Elise's been out. It's not been easy for them, and I think if it not for Anderson, they'd be lower down the table.
To be honest, I had him. I just couldn't decide between the two. I kept chopping and changing. I did go for Saliba in the end, but I'm happy to go for Anderson.
Come on. The less skin is the better. That's what I'm saying.
Anderson goes in at right centre-back. Left centre-back, I have gone for Mickey van der Ven.
Me too.
Yeah, I think I think this is actually a pretty easy choice, to be honest. I think his first 8 games in the Premier League, I don't think he's put too many foot wrongs. Maybe in the first game, if you're really nitpicking, you can pick something out there. But I think all in all, he has been unbelievable, and especially in the big games that we've had this season. At the Emirates, I thought he was unbelievable. Against Liverpool, I thought he was unbelievable. Against Luton, I thought he was unbelievable. Literally every game, I'm like being blown away by him, and his recovery pace has been insane. Just what an amazing signing he's been.
And even the only bad game Spurs have had against Fulham, he was a shining light amongst what was a horrific team performance, and he was brilliant on the day as well. You know, 22 years of age, his first 8 games in the Premier League, and you wouldn't have thought it with the way he's played. How calm and composed he's been in the first 8 games as well has been astonishing. He's becoming a customary Van der Ven sliding tackle each game where he comes out to the touchline, and he's just got that searing pace to keep up with anyone. I remember against Liverpool where, you know, Gakpo's running through on goal, and you just see this steam train Van der Ven running back and catching up with him. He's just got incredible pace, and he barely makes a mistake at all each game. His passing's been brilliant. He got the winner as well against Luton on the weekend, which tops off what has been a brilliant start to the season for him. So I think Van der Ven goes in there.
Yeah. And then to make up the back 4, who have you gone for left back?
Destiny Udogie. Who else? I think he's been brilliant.
I've actually not gone for Destiny
Really?
Udogie.
Who you gone for?
I've gone for Pervis Estupiñán.
Really?
Yeah, I think Estupiñán, he has had a few dodgy games over the last couple when Brighton have conceded quite a few, but I think his attacking output has been probably the best attacking output out of any left back this season in the Premier League. How many? I think he's got 3 assists or 4 assists, even 4 big chances created. I know Destiny has also had a really good start to the season, but the early stages of that Arsenal game worried me against him. I thought against Salah, he kind of did come out on top for the most part. But I just sided with Estupiñán just because of the attacking output that he's given to Brighton so far this season.
I think he started the season really well, but I think his actually last few games, he hasn't been so good. He had an absolute shocker. When was it? I think it was against Villa. Like he was taken off early because he was he was absolutely ran ragged in that game. Got booked, could have been sent off in that game as well. In fact, he's been I don't know, dropped or rested, whatever you want to call it. But you know, against Man United, we went with Tariq Lamptey. I think Destiny Udogie's just been super consistent. I know he had a dodgy period against Arsenal, but he recovered from that and ended up having a great game. Same against Liverpool. I thought he had a brilliant game. I think he's been so consistent, and his output's been all right. He's got 2 assists so far, no goals, but he's set up a various amount of chances as well. I just think he's been the best left back in the league so far. And I think if you're talking about maybe the first international break, I'd agree with you. But I think Estupiñán slowed down quite a bit in the past few games.
Who am I to argue against Destiny Udogie, eh? Who am I to argue?
Exactly.
So Destiny Udogie can get in there. In terms of number 6, who have you gone for?
I have gone for Yves Bissouma.
I've gone for Rodri. I think I have actually picked Bissouma in this team. So maybe we put Bissouma as number 6, then I can push Rodri up into a number 8 position. I don't know.
Happy to do that.
Because I've gone for both of these players in my midfield.
All right, so you play Rodri, play Bissouma in the 6, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
Bissouma 2.1 dribbles per game, 2-man the match awards already. He did let us down massively at Luton with that sending off. But before the sending off. I thought he was brilliant in the game. He's been a shining light in the Spurs team every single game this season, so it's hard not to pick him. But I do think Declan Rice should get an honourable mention, because I do think he's been probably Arsenal's best player so far this season.
Yeah, Rice has been super consistent and he's been really good, but I just think what Basuma brings you on the football pitch is an absolute joke. He brings you a defensive solidity with his tackles, interceptions. He can carry the ball forward as well with his incredible dribbling ability, which is almost like a cheat code when you're playing in central midfield against teams who are looking to maybe have that mid block, and you just got Basuma driving at you. It's impossible to stop. His passing's been pretty solid as well. He's got a really high passing accuracy. He's literally doing it all, apart from maybe picking the ball in the back of the net. He's literally doing it all. So we can talk about the red card, but Rodri also had a moment of madness against I think it was Forest, so you could equally level that at him. I just think Basuma's been astonishing first 8 games. So the only thing, a downside, is maybe too many yellow cards. I think he's got 6 in his first 8 if you count the 2 against Luton. So that's definitely something he needs to watch out for. But apart from that, he's been incredible. So Basuma has to be in there.
All right, so Basuma in the 6th. Next player we're going to put, I'm going to obviously put forward, is Rodri. I think Rodri has actually, whilst he's on the pitch, he's been the best midfielder in the Premier League this season. I genuinely believe that. 3 big chances created, most passes in the league, 6.5 accurate long balls per game, which is the most in the league. And you've seen, since he's been out that Man City team, they've struggled massively. 3 losses in 3 from the suspension that he has had. And he's just an unbelievable football player, Rodri.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. Obviously, Rodri has been amazing, but he has missed the last 3 games. Obviously, one of them was in the Carabao Cup. I did go for James Ward-Prowse. I think he's been having an amazing start to life at West Ham. I think 2 goals and 3 assists in his first 8 games, and every game he seems to be making a big contribution. West Ham had a very good start to the season as well, and he seems to be maybe shaking off that tag of just a set-piece merchant as well. He's always showing he's got all-round game at the moment at West Ham, and I think he's made a big difference in every appearance he's made. So I went for Ward-Prowse, but yeah, Rodri's also been unreal so far in the first 8 games.
All right, so we got a midfield of Basuma and Rodri. The next spot, I think, is absolutely clear who is going in. And I have no doubt in my mind we've picked the same player here. And he has been the best player in the Premier League so far. I did say Rodri has been the best midfielder, but Maddison has been the best player in the Premier League. So essentially he has been the best midfielder as well. But James Maddison, what a player he has been this season. 3.3 key passes per game, 6 big chances created, 7 goal contributions so far in the Premier League this season. And we all thought Maddison would be a really good player for Spurs, but I don't think anyone envisaged him to be this good so early on.
Yeah, and he's been unreal. Literally hasn't had a bad game. I think he's been near man of the match in most of the games he's played. He's also had the big responsibility of taking Harry Kane's number 10 shirt at the start of the season, and a lot of pressure on him considering Spurs lost their best ever player, and he's literally filled that void unbelievably in the number 10 slot. I don't think considering De Bruyne is injured at the moment, I don't think any number 10 or any attacking midfielder even touches what Maddison's been able to produce so far this season. He's literally had everything: set piece assists, goal scoring from outside the box, creating chances for fun. I think he's got the most chances created in the whole Premier League. He's got most assists in the Premier League as well. He's just he's a goal threat, and he's also involved in the build-up play and gives you that as well. He's not just leadership one of those players. He's not just one of those players who hangs around the penalty area just waiting for the ball to come to me. He'll come deep and he'll wait. He'll be involved in the build-up play, and he gets involved in that. And off the ball as well, he's been absolutely brilliant with his tackling, and his defensive numbers have been almost like a defensive midfielder. Some of his defensive numbers. So incredible start to the season for Maddison, and if he keeps up this form for the whole season, he's going to get Player of the Year. Yeah,
totally agree. So that's a midfield 3 of Bissouma, Rodri and Maddison, and I think that's fair. I think all those 3 have probably been the best 3 midfielders in the league. Let's move over to the front line now. Let's start off on the right hand side of the attack. Who have you gone for this?
Mohamed Salah. Who else?
Yeah, who else? He's been unbelievable. 9 big chances created this season in 8 games. I mean, that is monstrous numbers. You're talking about 5 goals, 4 assists as well. He's close to as well Player of the Year for me this season.
Yeah, he's had an astonishing start, and the fact that he's also kind of taken up this new role in the Liverpool team as more of a creator than just as forward, yet he also maintains the goal threat that we know Mohamed Salah has, with 5 goals as well in the first 8 games, and he's obviously a brilliant goal scorer, but he's really added that creative part to his game really impressively. I think every game he went on a run, I think before the Spurs game, or did he get one in the Spurs game? I think before the Spurs game, of 12 goals and assists in consecutive games, which is the second time he's done that in Premier League. It's just incredible what a run he was on, and a brilliant season so far.
To be fair, he did get a goal of contribution in the Spurs game because that goal was ruled out for offside. To be fair.
True. So you can feel unlucky with that one. His run should have continued, but what a player, incredible. And he also, like, 31, you would have thought a player like Salah, who was so quick and maybe in his early career relied so much on his pace, you would have think, is he going to start slowing down at some point? But shows no sign of slowing down.
But that's what top players do, right? They adapt to situations, they adapt to, as they get older, you see all the top players do that. Messi, Ronaldo, Harry Kane, even Heung-min Son to a certain extent as well. So Mo Salah, unbelievable season so far. On the left-hand side, I've gone for Pedro Neto.
Pedro Neto. Well, I've kind of fitted in Sonny on the left because I wanted to put someone else up front. So I've put Sonny there, 6 goals so far this season. Although he hasn't got a registered assist, he actually has 4 big chances created, and that's I was reading, it's the most chances created without an assist. So he's clearly been at his creative best as well. I actually thought he was starting to improve a bit when he was off the left before he got moved to the centre anyway. So I thought he was playing well, but obviously he's moved to another level once he's gone central. Has scored in big games as well, 2 goals at the Emirates, got a goal against Liverpool, brilliant hat-trick against Burnley as well. I think his last few games has been really consistently strong. So I've just gone for Heung-min Son.
So it's going to make me sick, like trying to get Sonny out of this team. But I think Pedro Neto, 1 goal, 5 assists in this Wolves team is nothing to be sniffed at, first of all. 2.3 dribbles per game, 5 big chances created in this Wolves team. And I feel like Pedro Neto is back to his best now. I think he's contributing in every single Wolves game this season. And on top of that, when you're looking at Sonny, I think the goals have been only over like 3 games, hasn't it? 3 or 4 games. In some of the games where he hasn't scored, he has gone missing a little bit, Heung-min Son. I know what you're saying about him being at his creative best and the most chances created without an assist, but I just feel like Pedro Neto has probably been more consistent over the course of the 8 games than Heung-min Son.
I actually disagree about Neto being back to his best. I think he's better than ever, to be honest. I think he's absolutely incredible so far this season. I think he's better than he's ever been. And I have to give him props because I'm so impressed and I'm so happy for him because he's had such big injury problems and there was always question marks whether he was ever going to get back to his best, Pedro Neto. But I just think Son, even in the games where he hasn't maybe got a goal and assist, he's contributed really well. The fact that when he's taken the captaincy and been one of the best captains you're ever likely to see, and I think he's backed up with the stats as well. And if it wasn't for some poor finishing from his teammates, he would have been at least on 2 or 3 assists so far this season.
You do have to remember, though, in the first month of the season, when we were doing the player performance ratings, we didn't rate him highly because he didn't have a good start to the season. The first 2 games when he was out on the left wing weren't that good from Heung-min Son. And I just feel like from start to finish, Pedro Neto has just been brilliant.
I mean, I can't remember every single Wolves performance. I'm sure he's had performances where he's been quiet.
Well, in the first game of the season, look at that game against Manchester United. I thought he was brilliant that day. And every time I've watched Wolves play, he has just ran the show for them every single time.
He's been brilliant. He's been brilliant. But I think even in Son, apart from the Brentford game, I think Son's been pretty good in every game, maybe barring Brentford and maybe barring the Sheffield United game. Even that game, I thought he wasn't bad. It's a tough one. But I am super happy for Neto, so I'm happy to put him in. But I think Son's going to get Player of the Month, so...
He is going to get, and Son deserves Player of the Month, but this isn't a Team of the Month. This is Team of the Season.
Yeah, I'm saying even the first month, I didn't think he was that bad.
No, I don't think he was bad. I just think Neto was better.
Maybe.
Look, for me, consistently, Neto has been better than Son this season. They've had the same amount of goal contributions, 6 goals to 5 assists and a goal. And Neto's playing at Wolves, let's not forget.
All right, we'll put Neto in.
As much as it makes me feel dirty arguing for Neto over Son.
He's got a big smile on his face.
But Neto gets in. Who have you gone for number 9?
I have gone for Erling Haaland, the boring choice. 8 goals, albeit recently, last few games, he's been super quiet and really not involved in games. And sometimes when he does that, he runs the risk of being anonymous, which he has been. But he's top goal scorer at the moment. I still think he's playing really well. I'm sure he'll get back to his goal scoring exploits anyway. So I've just gone for Haaland. Yeah,
I went for Haaland as well. I mean, can you really argue against 8 goals and 1 assist in 8 games?
No,
you can't really argue against that. But the player who I had in there originally, who I was thinking of putting in there, was Julian Alvarez, because I actually think when you're looking at the whole season, I think Julian Alvarez actually makes a bigger impact in games as to Erling Haaland. But I just think you just can't argue with that goal return from Haaland, to be honest. So it had to be him.
It's just a ridiculous goal machine. I'm sure he's going to... I mean, I wonder if he has less goals at this point now than he did last season. And the last couple of games he's been poor, but it's Erling Haaland, and he's still, and the first 6 games he's still playing really, really well, and he's just an absolute beast. So I had to put him in.
All right, so there you have it. That is this combined team of the season. In goal is Vicario, right back Kieran Trippier, left back Destiny Udogie, a centre back pairing of Joachim Andersen and Mickey van der Ven. A midfield 3 of Yves Bissouma, Rodri and James Maddison. Mo Salah on the left, Pedro Neto on the right. Sorry, Mo Salah on the right, Pedro Neto on the left, and Erling Haaland up top. In terms of a few special mentions that I haven't mentioned, I think Bukayo Saka should be mentioned. I think Hwang should be mentioned off Wolves, who's I think 5 goals already this season. Or was it 4 or 5?
5 goals.
Unbelievable. Jarrod Bowen, I think he's had an absolutely sensational start to the season. Alexander Isak as well. I think he's got 6 goals this season.
Romero's unlucky.
Romero's in my mentions as well.
Romero's had a brilliant start to the season. I guess manager so far?
It's got to be Big Ange.
There's only one guy. Who's top of the league right now? Who's top of the league?
Not only who's top of the league, but he won the first manager of the month, and he's probably going to win the second one as well. Unbeaten so far in 8 games. I know Arteta as well is unbeaten for Arsenal, but I just think we've done it in a more kind of convincing way.
I completely agree. Ange has to be the manager this season so far.
All right. So how many Spurs have we sneaked in there? It's not even sneaking in there because it's actually warranted. We've got Vicario, Van der Ven, Udogie, Bissouma, Maddison.
Yeah.
Wow. And Son just about missed out. So, and Ange Postecoglou. So it's a very heavy Spurs Premier League team of the season so far. Let us know in the comments section below. Do you think we're being a little bit biased, or is this absolutely warranted? Let us know your team of the seasons in the comment section below. We'll speak to you very soon. Like, subscribe and comment, and see you next time.